Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 13 of Direwolf20's Server Play series. I am going to investigate my Uber miner because I think Soren's been messing with it. I think he actually went ahead and resolved an issue that I was planning to resolve this episode, so we might have to figure out what he's done to my Uber miner and then go from there. So apparently he's been letting it run for quite a while, which is starting to make me nervous how far away this thing is, but I guess we'll see. Looks like either he cleared the path for it to go through or he added something to clear paths in front. No, he didn't add anything to clear paths in front, but what he did do is replace all my ender chests with iron chests. Alright, so let's see what he's done to my Uber miner. Messing with my stuff. It sounds like Soren. So he's using extra utilities transfer pipes. I'm guessing he's got a retrieval node down here. That's kind of how I would have done it. Yep. Okay, so he's got about 2.5 stacks of speed upgrades plus the stack upgrade. So it very quickly scans through all the inventories here, finds whatever it wants, and boom, pretty much instantly sends it back to the base for processing. Okay, not too shabby. Not terribly shabby, at least. I don't know why it took so long to grab those two, but whatever. Apparently it runs. Let's give it a try. I don't think that I've actually got... Well, I would have to do it with my computer, wouldn't I? Yeah, for the power thing to work. That's okay. It does appear to be running pretty well, though, because it's gone this far. Luckily, he didn't move my link book to the overworld. I would like a cool and fun way to access this quarry remotely. I'm not sure if I can get over to here or not, but we will have to see what we can figure out. What has he been doing in our base? I'm guessing he's indicating to me that this should be our Thaumcraft room. Kind of small for a Thaumcraft room, but I'll see what I can make happen. Still chests randomly in here. Fancy looking forge. Cell workbench. We have an AE system. Number of items. So we've got a lot of dirt. That's good to know. I just want to kind of see what he's done. Oh, wow, this is all new. Okay, what's this lever do? Either something not obvious, or I'm not sure. Oh, I guess that's the auto crafter for all the AE stuff in there. This would appear to be fluid transposer, magma crucible. I'm guessing it'll tell us, aha, that's how he automated resonant ender and destabilized redstone. I see he's checking out the ME conduits. Pretty cool, right? Those are the Ender IO ME conduits. They work just like all the other Ender IO stuff. They can all exist within the same block space. What's he got back here? A bunch of sag mills. I guess this is for processing ores, I can only assume. And a bunch of alloy smelteries. Why he's got it in this weird setup, I'm not too sure. In, out. He's not like whitelisting anything here. I have no idea what he's doing. Good old Soren, no clue. Soren just decides to build random things, and I have no idea what they are sometimes. Alright, so this is creating the different alloys that we need with this sag mill. So that's the alloy smeltery for Ender IO. Seems interesting. Current power, average input over 5 seconds is 0. Average output is 168 RF per tick. So I can see that we're actually using quite a bit of power, but it's not currently running. What about over here? Input 0, output 201 RF per tick. Has he upgraded this thing or something? Yeah, I mean, we're using about 370. I'm assuming most of that is going towards the AE network. He's got that energy acceptor right there. He's making a lot of singularities, which is cool. He still doesn't have this thing properly set up because the barrels are all full, but all the machines are running. I have to ask him if he intends for these machines to run all the time or only when the barrels aren't full. I assume he doesn't want these machines running when the barrels are full, and we can see that they are all full. So I don't know if that's an oops on his part or what he's doing there. But goodness, Soren has been doing a lot of things. Oh, I see what he's got going on. Okay, so back here I'm seeing that he's filtering what items go in. So the sag mill processes this stuff, and the smelters process the different kinds of dust. Okay, and then these guys were what? Pulverizers. Okay, so that's going to be processing the dense ores. All right, not terrible. Cool. All right, sounds good. All right, guys, we're back. So I've come up with a plan for what I want to work on this episode. An episode or two back, we created this awesome big reactor. Now, it's definitely one of the top tier reactors that you can build. Super efficient, super powerful, and generates a lot of RF. And so far, we just had to toggle on and off whenever we wanted RF power to kick on. But I kind of thought it would be fun to build a little bit of a more advanced control system for the reactor itself. So I've gotten a few items prepared and how I want to run this. First off, I separated the green power line, which is kind of like the high voltage power line, from the main capacitor bank here, and it's only hooked up to the orange bank, right? So all the orange powered stuff, like the AE system for now, will probably merge everything into the green line eventually, but for now, most of these things are running on the orange line, which is fine. You can see that overall, our base is mostly still being powered by coal, so we're still generating 200 RF per tick more than we need, so we're generating a little bit more RF per tick than we need to generate. You can see that our Stirling generators are all on at the moment, and once that capacitor fills up a little bit more, it'll turn off using the power monitor setup that we did a couple episodes back. You can see it's emitting a redstone signal, so we know it's definitely running, right? What I want to set up this time is a Computercraft controlled thing. Now, before you guys get all worried, Computercraft, oh no, Direwolf, we ate that. Don't worry, I'm going to have a lot of off-screen coding. In fact, I already wrote all the programming. So all I really need to do is go ahead and show you guys how this works and run some cabling. So we won't have much code writing on screen. We will have most of it off screen. So let's get started taking a look at how this is going to work. Let's see. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. This should look pretty good, right? This is where I want my monitor to be. This is going to be what's going to be displaying my cool Computercraft program. And I think you guys will like this. I think it's pretty cool. At least, that's my opinion. You're welcome to your opinion if you want. I also made a vibrant capacitor bank. I made this off camera. It's just 4 octadic capacitors of vibrant crystal and some electrical steel. It's not terribly hard to make. It is definitely a little bit expensive, but you can store 25 million total RF, which is the same as 5. We're currently storing 25 million total RF in this capacitor bank. So the standard capacitors are 5 each. The vibrant capacitor, the top tier capacitor from Ender.io, is 25 each. And it's a multi-block just like the others, so you can really expand this if you want to. We might wind up expanding this, and I might wind up moving this capacitor bank, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just going to have one capacitor bank. And like I said, I've already written the code here, and don't worry, I'll get you the paste bins that we're going to need. Now, in order to get this working, we're going to need a few things. First off, we're going to have to hook up some modems to the different things that we want to hook up. So let's control, there's 3 things we need. We need a modem on the computer itself. The computer is touching the monitor, so we don't need a modem there. We need a modem on the capacitor bank like we just saw, and we need this guy, Big Reactor's computer port. His job is to interface with computers. So let's put the computer port down there, and to that we can hook up another wired modem, and then we're going to need some networking cable, which I prepared ahead of time, and we can do all this cool stuff. Run the networking cable straight over to here. And I'm probably going to want to make sure I can get out of this hole I made. So let's do that. And we're going to hook this right into this guy. There we go. And we're going to hook this computer cable into the back here. Now you just have to right-click to activate them. Computer 5 is connected to the network. Tile block capacitor bank name 31 is connected to the network. You're going to want to remember these because you're going to need to type them in. Now, those of you who are interested in following along, go ahead and pay attention for just a second. When you modify this, you're going to want to change what's written in here to match what came up. So you can see Tile capacitor bank 31 and Big Reactor's reactor 1. You just have to change these numbers. So 1 and Big Reactor's reactor 1. And that should be it. And now we should be able to run the Reactor program. Dun 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 dun. I'm pretty proud of this, can you tell? So here's what we've got. We've got Reactor power control through a Computercraft monitor. The top is a bunch of information, so current energy use. Currently we're using 0 RF per tick. So that's actually quite a silly number. One thing I want to flip on, by the way, is I had this thing turned off just because I didn't want it filling up the capacitor as it was in my inventory. What we would probably want to do is plug in our green line here. So let's go ahead and run that to this guy. You can tell I did a little prep ahead of time, can't you? There we go. So currently we are probably needing a lot of power, right? So let's see. Right now we don't have any power in there, so let's turn our reactor on. Online. Boom. Ta-da! The reactor is now online. You can see RF generation. We're generating a large amount of RF per tick, and as the reactor warms up, we can see we're going to be generating lots and lots of RF per tick, somewhere around 11 or 12,000 total. The core temperature is pretty high, and the fuel use, 0.133 millibuckets per tick. A couple of the letters are cut off here. I might have to edit a few of these. I wasn't generating quite as much power in my test world. We can also see the energy stored amount in percentage. So we can see we're currently about to pass the 20% threshold. Nice. We can also flip this reactor offline if we want to, and then boom, it starts to shut down. Big reactors, as you guys might know if you play with it much, once you turn them off, they stop using fuel immediately, but all the generated heat that it had has to cool down, so you still generate a small amount of RF while that heat's cooling off, and you can see that measurement up here on the top right. So the right side mostly represents the RF in the generator there, so you can see RF gen, core temperature, fuel use, and then also here reactor is currently offline. Energy stored in percentage, and energy use is basically what's the change in energy going on in the capacitor bank that we're plugged into. So right now the change is about 167 to 168 RF per tick, and you can see that represented there. If we kicked our reactor back online, we would see that number start to spike back up because now the change is green, meaning it's, making more power than it's using, which is good. Now we're producing a ton of power here. As you guys might remember from my spotlight, we could adjust how much power and how much fuel is used by inserting control rods. Well, I added some buttons here to do that. So if I insert the control rod down to 90% in this nifty little graphic updates, which I'm super proud of, you can see the RF gen and the core temperatures start to drop, but they'll balance out probably right around 1,000 RF per tick, I think, because we're doing about 90% of what we were at. So we're probably getting close to, where we want to be, a nice stable level. So we're generating less power, but of course we're consuming less fuel, 16 millibuckets per tick, as opposed to when we're at 0, the fuel use kind of, bumps up there. Oh, look at that, I just found a little bug in my program. I'm actually using 1.3, but it's measuring out as 0.13. So I better fix that before we get too much. I had a smaller reactor in my test world. Anyway, let's flip this guy to offline now, and we'll notice that he's going to completely shut down. In fact, let me go fix that bug right now, and I'll be right back. There we go. So we can see our fuel use when it's online. We're using 1.3 millibuckets per tick. And then at the 90% threshold, we're using much less, 0.3 millibuckets per tick, 0.16. So far less, far, far less. That makes more sense. I was going to say, hey, something's off there. Definitely just a bug in the program. So that's manual mode. As you can see, we can turn on and off the reactor. Obviously, it won't automatically shut off when our internal energy storage hits 100%. So we're going to want to keep an eye on that level. The other thing that we could do, though, is switch it to automatic mode, which is cool. When in automatic mode, it'll basically get rid of all of our buttons, and it'll only function pretty much in a similar way to what our power monitor was doing. And if we look at the code real quick, you'll see that there's two things at the top here, turn on at and turn off at. And what these guys are basically telling you what percentage threshold to turn on the reactor at and turn off at. So if you want to change them, it's really just as easy as changing these numbers. So if I switch this to 75 and 90, for example, and then we ran the reactor program. By the way, it starts up in manual mode by default, but I'll probably change that to start up in automatic mode by default. Also, in automatic mode, it's always running at full power, so it'll never use fuel rods in automatic mode. I considered adding that as a feature, but I kind of decided, let's not mess with it too much. Let me get a couple capacitors here. Let's see, 1, 2. Come on, auto crafting. Let's go. Aha, I'm low on some stuff. Let's get some alloys here. Let's craft like 10 of these. Ah, we're missing glowstone. Alright. Hopefully I can get 5 of them. That might be enough. I don't think it is, actually. Might have to go to the nether for this build. Believe it or not. So over here, we should see... Good, this is running. As expected. This might be just enough. Let's see what happens. Almost. Enough for one more alloy. I might have just enough of these. I should move this auto crafting over to here, by the way, into my AE system. Oh, now I need glowstone for the next stage. Oh, that stinks. Okay, I'll be back in a second. All right, I went and visited my buddy Fireball and just stole some of his stuff. So let's get another capacitor here, and we'll see how well this works. So if I grab another capacitor, and we want the vibrant capacitor bank, hopefully I need another one of these. So do I have another emerald? I do. Let's get a vibrant alloy nugget. Then I should be able to get a vibrant crystal. I've got my 4 octadic capacitors, so I should be able to make another one of these. Nice. Not terribly expensive, as you can see, but, you know, I don't want to lose my futuristic armor flooring, so someone will yell at me for leaving holes in the floor. Right down here. So if we stick a new capacitor thing on the back here, this should multi-block update, and then this thing should recognize that it's currently at 54%. And you notice that it automatically turned the reactor on for me. Cool. In manual mode, I could turn it off, of course. But in automatic mode, I can turn it on. And it'll automatically turn on when it's below that threshold number, and it'll automatically turn off when it's above the threshold. So I think I made it like something like 75 and 90%. So once we get up to about 90%, we should see this thing automatically shut off. I'll be back when we get there. So let's see, we should be approaching that 90% mark. That's where I told the computer to automatically shut off. So if we look, we can see that it automatically turned off the reactor without me hitting anything because we're in automatic mode. So that automatic mode pretty much copies the exact same way this thing and the power monitor worked, right? But in manual mode, you get a lot more control over your reactor. Pretty cool, right? So I am pretty pleased with this build. In automatic mode, by the way, it's always at 90%. So if we set, or it's always at 0%, I mean. So the fuel rods aren't used at all. I was considering using fuel rods in automatic mode, but for the most part, I wasn't really too concerned about it. Let's see, if we put it in like 60%. By the way, it does change the fuel rods, all of them at once. I didn't have anything or any need to change that to like insert some fuel rods some amount and other fuel rods another amount. Not really necessary, it just inserts them all the same amount. Cool. So 90%, you can see here, it changes all these guys to 90%. Pretty neat, right? So that's pretty much my computer craft reactor control program. I'm going to go ahead and paste bin put the button API you're going to need, and paste bin put the reactor program. So you guys can go ahead and download that. Like I said, really the only thing you need to change, if you're at all interested, is the capacitor bank name, the position of the monitor, and the reactor name. And then your turn off and on percentages if you want to adjust those as well. Feel free to play with it. I haven't totally tested it, like I haven't used it a lot on a server. So, oh, you know what else I want to do? Let's also set it to be, the mode by default will be automatic. And then I'll make it so that it runs reactor on startup, so that when we reboot, it should automatically start up in automatic mode. Cool. So whenever the computer is started up, so like the server, we can go ahead and it's good to go. So, why do I hear things happening? So that's the computer crap build. Like I said, I'll probably have a separate video explaining the code because I know you guys don't like to see too much code on camera here. I know I kind of owe you one at the time being for the archery game as well, so I should get around to that too. Maybe we'll have like a couple days of coding videos going up. All right, guys, we'll be back. All right, guys, we're back. So what'd you guys think? I'm on with my Martin and Damien now.
Looking cool.
You like it?
Yeah.
It's something I really need for my reactor because I have no idea how much power it uses or how much power my stuff is using. So with that I can see how much power I'm using and how much power I need to output. And, I can control my rod from a computer rather than going into my tiny basement and navigating through my clusters of cables.
Yeah, right. I should be able to, by the way, guys, have a second monitor upstairs. I might be able to do that easily. How hard would that be to add a second monitor output? I think I'd have to duplicate a lot of code, wouldn't I? That would kind of stink. I mean, I could just move the monitor upstairs if I wanted to, too. That's fine.
So, Darrell, have you seen the cannon in Digger?
I have not seen the cannon in Digger. Where's the cannon in Digger?
Right when you... Yeah, there you go. If you step on this pressure plate.
Which pressure plate? This pressure plate?
Yep.
Oh, boy.
And don't touch controls. Oh, you touch controls.
I probably did. Well, you warned me too late.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, look at that. I land right in the water. Nice. That's a pretty reliable way to shoot people?
If people don't touch controls, then yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I thought, like, there's a trough anchor, but why not?
Well, I mean, that's pretty neat. You should put it up on, like, the platform, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was easier to hide, but maybe it hides too well.
Yeah, it might be too hidden. So I just turned on my frame core, by the way, so we can see we're using a lot of energy right now. I want to say my frame core uses something like 10,000 RF when it's running 5,000. It's not terrible. I expect it to be using more, but cool.
Either T-Love or either TFT cuts or Fireball suggested that I would put the pressure plate right under the spawn, so that people would get shot right when they spawn.
Yeah.
Instead of the deep space, the deep dark block. But
gotcha. Now, this is interesting. I want to check something real quick. I want to see if this measures correctly with just one thing on there. You guys done moving or something? What's going on? Oh, power low, skipping. I was like, why isn't it running? Oh, right. I built this thing in so that when the power is too low, it doesn't run. And I broke the power connection for a second. So, all right, any second now it should kick back on. I want to see if the energy use... See, yeah, okay. That's interesting. So the way these capacitor banks report their power might be a problem. You might be only able to use one capacitor bank, not the multi-block structure. That's more a bug with how, I guess, either Ender.io or Computercraft or Open Peripherals, I don't know what. But it's reporting the value of power differently to the computer than it really exists. All right, I'll have to figure that out with somebody. Oh, look, it turned the reactor on for us. Nice, because the power got too low. That's cool. And then when the power gets back up again, it should automatically shut off because we're in automatic mode. Beautiful. So if I had this guy here, see, yeah, it's reporting the power incorrectly, kind of. It's always half because there's two blocks. That stinks. Okay. So I'll keep an eye on this for a few minutes. I want to make sure that everything's running smoothly, but I think it is. Unfortunately, like I said, it looks like you will only be able to do one capacitor bank, not multi-parting it, just because of a bug. The code would work for it, but I guess it's the way it reports all the information. All right, guys, we're back. I think the next thing I want to start working on, by the way, is probably some kind of magical area. So leave it to Soren to build a base inside a mountain. That's not big enough for our base, but I'm trying to decide how I want this to go. I'm thinking I might want 3 areas for 3 different magic mods. And that would, of course, be Britannia, Blood Magic, and Thaumcraft. Because Blood Magic has a whole new tier of power, so it has the tier 6 altars are available now. And Thaumcraft, we saw that crazy Thaumcraft dimension. I wouldn't mind like getting there myself and seeing what's all involved. So I think that's what I'm going to start working on next. I haven't decided which one I want to go with, Thaumcraft or Blood Magic, but one of the two will be the next build that I start working on. I want to have like a cool Thaumcraft room, probably get someone to help me make it look nice. And then from there, we can start making cool things. So maybe like this will be a 3-way junction, and like to the left will be Britannia, to the right will be Blood Magic, and straight ahead will be Thaumcraft. Something like that. I haven't entirely decided yet. That might be cool. Alright guys, so like I said, what I'm going to do is focus on clearing out some terrain and getting prepared to do some good magical type stuff. Like I said, not 100% sure which one I'm going to start working on yet, but we'll come up with something good. For now, I think it's unfortunately wrapping up time for the episode, so Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be back next time. Probably time to start on some magical mods, now that we've got a good, strong technological foundation for our base. Soren did a lot of work on the applied energistic system, so I'm going to have to make sure that he gets us up to speed on what he's been working on while I've been away. And the reactor's doing pretty well. Definitely hope you guys leave me some feedback. Let me know if you liked the episode with like the computer-controlled reactor and everything. I think it's pretty cool, but I'd definitely like to hear your feedback. All right, guys, for now, Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take it easy.